Just getting my incense going a bit. Just so you guys know, my favorite type, which I get off Amazon, would be this one, the cinnamon. I've tried different ones, but the cinnamon is just my go-to favorite, I think. It smells so good. So, you know, I always give you guys a little bit of a recap about my day. And I've heard we're a bit in a Mercury retrograde, and I can tell you that if you have an idea of what a Mercury retrograde day is, I've been going through with it today. Gosh, it's even too much to really go through on here. Not that y'all would care about everything, because we all have our issues. But I can say that I did successfully set some boundaries. I think as I've gotten older in life, I know what I tolerate and what I don't from people. And I think I worded it well. I had to take some deep breaths. So guys, like, I know on these tarot teacher moments, I'm always talking about being in control of what you say. And I was. I thought it through before I spoke it, but I meant every word of what I said. Let's just say someone took me there today and I totally met up with them. So I am so looking forward to put this day in the books. But before this go live, I did go outside and sit in my backyard and get some fresh air, to kind of be like, whew, I made it through this day. Hi, Mom. I've been seeing all your posts about you working outside on your flowers. I know that's heaven to you, and I'm sure that your yard's going to be looking beautiful, especially as the weather continues to get warmer. I haven't planted anything yet. I'm waiting. Usually for this area from Missouri, they say for us to wait till like after Mother's Day to plant. I've been itching to get my garden and everything started, but I've been holding off. But I have been keeping my indoor plants alive. So I'm really happy to report on that. But yeah. So I'm hoping you guys have had a better day than me. Yeah. Ooh, buddy, some of it, it's just like, some days it's like back to back to back aggravations. It's like, why were we in a hurry to do the whole adulting thing? I really don't know. I kind of miss just being a kid growing up, and all I had to worry about was going to school, making good grades, getting up early enough to do my hair and makeup to where I looked okay going to school. And you go home and you eat supper and you watch The Simpsons on TV. I miss those days. I miss them so bad. I swear I do. Hi, Tim. Long time no see. I just saw you about 5 minutes ago. So I will keep an eye out on comments. So I'm seeing who's hopping on. So if you post a comment, I should be able to see it. So feel free to let me know how you're doing if you would like to. So we're going to continue our journey through the Suit of Pentacles tonight. Last night, it wasn't one of my best go lives because my reception was not so great, and I don't know why. I kept kind of like popping in and then popping out of it, so that's why I kept it pretty short, you know. So feel free to reach out if you were to have any questions about it. I see Patrice is on here. Hi, Patrice. I miss seeing you. I've been working my new job and all that good stuff, but I do look forward to seeing you at some point soon. What I could do is I'll follow up with the other psychics who work at the Grand Slam, and I'll see if, you know, the Thursdays I am available for next month. I'll see if I can work with you again soon. I miss you guys. So tonight we're going to do the Two of Pentacles, which just kind of take in what we're seeing here. The central figure. Okay, look at the body language, the predominant use of color. What is the central character in this card doing? Okay, what is going on in the background? Because we can really get a lot of information just by the environment, the symbols, body language, the meanings that we generally assign to color. Everything has an intention, right? Everything has a purpose with tarot. So we're just going to kind of start things off here. See, here is the Roman numeral for 2. And no matter what I read or researched, okay, because I look at Biddy Tarot, Labyrinthos, I look at Rachel Pollack's Tarot Wisdom book, and then I've got Liz Dean's book about tarot. So I read all these various things and accumulate the data to complement my knowledge base when I do these go lives so that I have a pretty well-rounded viewpoint about what I'm presenting. Nobody could provide clarification about the hat. I'm like thinking, this is such a big hat. Like, it reminds me, I think it was in the 90s. Didn't we have like the Conehead movies with like the aliens with the big head? You know, that's what the hat reminds me of. I'm just not sure. I mean, this gentleman, again, it could be male or female. It's all about the energy, is a juggler. So oftentimes in everything I read, it's referencing a juggler. And they're juggling 2 different coins, which are the Pentacles. And we have this infinity symbol, okay? And so all throughout these tarot teaching moments, I've referenced the infinity symbol. And basically, it's just this continuum that we're on of give and take, and it's just finding this balance. Another comparison would be the Ouroboros, which is the snake that eats its own tail. It shows the beginning, the ending, like things coming full circle. That would be more so of a completion. With this, it's like the figure 8. So what we're having here is our central character. Look at the footwork. So it's like they're dancing, okay, while doing this balancing act. And at this point in time, they're maintaining a balance, but it's taking some effort. Like, I don't even think I would actually be able to juggle 2, say, balls the way that this central character is. But see, they're having fun doing it. If you look at the facial expression, okay, it's a very youthful facial expression. And he's looking more so down at this one, even though the pentacle is supported here. Okay, which would, you guys know, you get the mirror image of what I see. So the one that he's not really looking at is actually in his right hand, which is being held up here. And so what we also see is the water in the background, which is like a playful use of the waves here. And that symbolizes life's ups and downs. So it's unrealistic to think that we will always be happy, you know, and I think it's a false societal viewpoint where we should always be happy, because that's so unrealistic. We're too complex as humans, okay? We're going to have throughout every day we go through times of being really happy, maybe a bit on a high versus lows and highs, but it's all in how what we make out of it, and your mindset truly determines your day. So like, I've conversed with other people. If you have it in your mind, okay, we'll talk about work, just in general, right? Somebody might say, well, work sucks. This place always sucks. We never have help. We never have what we need, blah, 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 blah. We all work with at least one person, which long time ago, years ago, one of my managers told me it's called the BMW Club. And I'm like, well, what is that? What does that mean? It's the, pardon me, I'm going to say a word, bitch. It's the Bitch, Moan, and Whine Club. These are the people who will complain, but they never offer any solutions. But they're really good at creating problems, decreasing morale. They love the drama. There's always at least one of these people in work scenarios. So you basically have to find your tribe. You got to find your people who are very motivated and knowledgeable and solution oriented. These are the people that help you achieve your outcomes. When it comes to very negative energies, my humble 10 cents of advice, yeah, you got to work with them. It doesn't matter if you like them or not. That's just adulting and that's life. But at the same time, don't allow them, because we choose what we get allowed like what we engage in. If you have this type of energy, don't get immersed in all that silliness, because it's such a waste of your time. It's not productive, and you don't want to be like that kind of energy. No employer wants that, right? Or even, it doesn't have to be a supervisor. If you work with somebody like that, you're not going to want to engage with them. Like, you'll help them if they need help and all that good stuff, but you're not going to be wanting to spend a lot of time with them, right? Because they're just going to drag you down, literally, because misery does like company. So what we're seeing here is we have the two little boats here, okay, that are staying afloat. But what I'm seeing here is, okay, so we have the focus on one of the two pentacles, and then here, this ship is bigger than, say, this one, okay? So it's one of those things where we all have various things that go on, and think of our minds like a computer where you've got different tabs open. So you may be thinking about, like, oh, how am I going to pay the bills? What am I having for dinner? You know, say my kid needs this or whatnot. I need to get them to this appointment. We've got a million things that go on in our minds on a daily basis. So what's happening here is, even though this individual is engaged, they're paying their attention on one endeavor, in the corner of their mind, it's still a very visible thing. They've got this endeavor that is taking up some of that focus. It's still there. They got to know it's there to hang on to it, even though they're trying to focus their attention here. Like, another good example would be when people go to work and say their home life isn't great. And oftentimes, many of us, including myself, go into work and we kind of compartmentalize what's not so great on a personal level. We focus on doing our job and doing it to the best of our ability. And then the moment we clock out, okay, oh, well, the problems are there. But if you guys haven't noticed, even when we go in with that mindset, the human brain is very complex. These things that worry us and stress us out kind of seep in throughout the day. And you've got to mentally push that back, because you got a job to do and you got to stay focused, right? So that's kind of like what's going on here. Yeah, there's a balance being had, but they're not able to maintain their full attention on just the one endeavor, because that one is still very much in the back of their minds. So this is like, this could be money, where finances are tight, because here we only have two pentacles. So think of them, they're coins. So this individual, they're really strictly looking at where their finances go, because they only have two. They can't afford to lose one. It's not like they've got many coins to play with. Or for a relationship, say if they got a job where they work really long hours, but then they get involved in a relationship, but say their partner wants a lot of their time and energy, right? But they're trying to keep that job. Well, that's a balance being struck. So basically what this figure is doing is, yeah, they're maintaining a balance. They are multitasking. That's a common word that we use nowadays. But have you guys ever heard of that meme? What is it? Don't wait for the storm to pass. Learn to dance in the rain. That's what this figure is doing. Because even though they'd like to kind of put this one pentacle off to the side and just give all of their focus on this one is still pressing. It's still, man, trying to balance it out. But with it being upright, it's a very youthful, fun energy, maintaining the balance and all that good stuff. So I'm going to read some of the descriptors here to make sure I'm being thorough with this. So we're looking at multitasking, balance, playfulness in work, managing money, work-life balance. That is a real thing. I learned that the hard way years ago. And the devil wears Prada. That they brought up a really relevant thing in that movie. It was when Andy was getting really good at her job, and it was Nigel. Was hanging out with her at a park while they were doing this photo shoot with models. And, like, her boss loved her work. She looked good. Andy was dressing the part. She knew the expectations of her boss, but she didn't have as much time with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend resented her for working around the clock, not being accessible. And like Nigel told her, that's how you know you're getting really good at your career, because your personal life basically destructs. It's a self-destructive thing. And it did. She ended up breaking up from her boyfriend, continued to get really good with her job, but then she realized, even though she was really good at it, this was not the life that she wanted. And then she walked away from it. So if you haven't seen that movie, it's pretty old, but I think it's a really good kind of significator of what's going on with this card. Like in that movie, Andy is juggling, quite a bit. It's a choice between career and or home. So this could be like at work. This could be multiple things. So say if you're really good and you're a go-getter and you know what you're doing, your boss, because they depend on you, they know that you're going to get it done, they may give you more work than, say, somebody that doesn't really do a whole lot and cannot be depended on, right? Because they're all about data and deadlines and all this good stuff. But that doesn't make it right, though, because what happens is your good staff will be burnt out and they'll feel taken advantage of. So it's at this point in time where somebody theoretically has said yes to two different endeavors. But you have to remember, to everything you say yes to, you are committing yourself, time, resources, possibly a monetary investment. So with everything you say yes to in life, what commitment are you making? What is it taking away from you when you are giving to another? So that's why, whether it be in your personal or professional life, it's really important to set boundaries with people. They will not know your boundaries unless you have that conversation with them and you don't leave the fluff out. And be very matter of fact about your expectations and assess what their expectations are of you. That way there's no guesswork and there's a common understanding. Because what's going to happen is, so yeah, they're looking like they're having fun. They're juggling these multiple projects at work. Yeah, they're fully capable of doing so. But do you think the juggler will be able to successfully juggle more than two pentacles, especially dancing around in the manner that this guy is? I would lead toward probably not. And you don't want to turn over and lose good staff. So that's why it's really good to be able to touch in with them. Hey, how's it going? What's working and what doesn't? Even outside of work, it's that respectful rapport and communication with other people, right? So we're looking at being resourceful, adapting, flexibility. Okay, so with love, it's balancing love, family, and work, because everybody wants a portion of your time. They don't want to feel slighted. So think about our kids. We treat our kids the same, so they know they're loved the same. One isn't going to get more presents on Christmas than the other, even though you think, well, shoot, this present costs me more. It's higher quality, so they shouldn't be tripping about the number of presents. But especially with our little kids think of numbers. Well, Susie got 10 presents. I only got 8. Where's my other 2 presents? Like, luckily, my kids are teenagers now, so it's not like that. But when they were itty bitty, my husband and I, we'd go Christmas shopping for them, and they're not spoiled. We've brought up good kids. But at the same time, those little kids, they are very literal. They're thinking in their minds, they're counting the presents. I don't miss that at all. I promise you I don't. Even though little kids are cute. They're some of my favorites. With career, it's juggling those work projects, okay? And with finances, they could be tight. We only have 2 that we're dealing with here, and it's prioritizing. It could also be seen as robbing Peter to pay Paul. How many of us have been in that situation? I have multiple times in life where we're trying to, like, my husband and me are looking at our bills, which we haven't been there in a while. We're pretty good about managing our finances, I think. But when we were first married and starting out, especially when the kids got introduced, because kids are not cheap to have, and we've got all these bills lined up we got to pay, and we only have a certain amount of money, we're having to think, well, we might be able to let this bill go a bit, and we'll pay this bill and get this one that we're not paying right now the next paycheck. It's hard when you live paycheck to paycheck, and I think with the current state of the economy, okay, that it currently is in, a lot of people are having to do that and doing away with like a lot of luxury things to make sure that their basic needs are met, which would be utilities, food, rent, of course. These take the precedence over, say, other things, which would be entertainment, for example, or eating out a lot, which can be awesome. It's good to eat out sometimes, but it can be expensive. So we've reviewed the symbols with the infinity sign, the symbols with the water being the up and down, the choppy waters, with the two boats that are staying afloat, one bigger than the other, just like we have the focus on this pentacle instead of the other one, okay? Now with the color usage, with red, we're talking, like we've always talked about all the different descriptors for red, but we're looking at passion, love, victory, right? These are some of the things we assign to the color red. We did see a lot of orange used back when we were talking about wands. That's like excitement, enthusiasm, right? So we have some orange with his tunic and a bit of orange and red with his sleeves, right? And again, youthful. So he's very open-minded. Again, we're at the very beginning of our journey because we just talked about the ace last night. So we're at the very beginning of this pentacle journey with this youthful, fun exuberance, right? Very excited to take on these challenges because last night we briefly alluded to momentum and ambition. Willing to do the legwork, you got an opportunity offered to you in the form of the ace. Now, what are you going to do with it? You're going to plant that theoretical seed, which is your ace, and you're going to tend to it and water it, make sure it gets enough nutrients and all this good stuff to where it will grow and then render fruit. Well, this is the beginning of it, okay? So they've taken on that seed, planted it. Now they're tending to it to see what can grow, which is our 2, right? Now, we're about to go into the reversals. And like I've always told people, and I'm sure you guys have probably heard this from other sources or things you've read, if it doesn't resound with you to read a reversal, then just don't. With tarot, sure, we've got base meanings, and I've always told you guys it's really important to develop your intuitive interpretation of these cards and then check out the book for the base meanings. Because that's how you really get into the complexity and the nitty-gritty of tarot. I see Haley's on here. Welcome, Haley. So if you love like looking at reversals, because they're not all bad. If you watch some of my old tarot teaching moments, I totally dismiss that myth. Some reversals are good, but then, sometimes they're not, and that's okay. We're not always going to excel at everything in life. And it's cool to reflect on issues and take our power back and that ownership and be like, okay, what am I going to do to tackle this and address the issue, right? So when it's in reverse, we're generally talking about the opposite of the upright meaning. Okay, so with love, when it's upright, we've got that balance, that grounding. Yeah, someone's working and they're in a relationship. They're maintaining it. They're having fun with it. When it's in reverse, no, it's not. It's not working. So it could be their partner. This could be romantic or platonic. It could be a friend. They feel neglected because our central figure might be not really balancing things so well and investing too much time, say, with another friend. They could be jealous and resentful. Why aren't you spending enough time with me? Just like that new friend you just made. What's so good about them? Or with work, feel like you need to carve some time out for me, okay? Because nobody wants to feel like they're the second choice to anything, right? With work, this shows somebody who said yes. way, way, way too much instead of saying just simply no. Okay. And yeah, they can totally let someone know, I've got this stuff on my plate. I can't take something else on. They cannot be delegating. So if someone has the training and knowledge base to do something, they're not delegating that task. Or if they're a supervisor, they've got their people coming to them. And I think the book was called The 2-Second Monkey or The 10-Second Monkey. It was this like book I read for management years ago. And it was all about the supervisor. And they're in their office, and they're trying to meet their deadlines and get their work done. But their staff comes to them with all these problems. And imagine their problems take the form of a monkey, okay? And they're putting their monkeys on their boss. Here you go. I've got this problem I need your help with. So do you think the supervisor will get their work done? And the answer is no, they're not. And they're not helping their staff grow. Because if the staff have the knowledge and the training to do a task, and that includes communication with their peers, you let them maintain that ownership over that problem. You clarify that they understand the policy and protocol. I see that you've had the training here. You're telling me that you understand how this works. So what I want you to do is I want you to go and you do it. Okay, and then if you still need my help, you know, if you have somebody you work with, you could refer them to that person. Or if you don't, say, then you can find me. Because then it forces that other person to use the resources available to them at work. It helps them to grow in their own knowledge base to where they're doing better off and they're growing within their career instead of someone trying to do everything for their people. And you still make your own deadlines and meet your projects. Does it mean that you're going to be loved and liked by everybody? I hate to say it, but no. It's hard to be in that position, and I empathize with people in that position since I've been in that with different jobs I've had in management roles in the past. But the main thing is if you're equitable, you treat everybody the same. It doesn't matter if you like them or not. They're there to do a job. You all are, including, say, the supervisor. That's what counts, right? So with this, with it being in reverse, we have somebody who's taken on everybody's monkeys, everybody's problems, and they're not getting their deadlines done. And so, for example, their director is going to be like, where's my audits? Where's my numbers? Why didn't you have this when you told me you were going to have it done? They're not going to care about your excuses. And then you're stressed out. You're not going to be enjoying your job. And people are still going to come in with more monkeys to throw in your back. So you got to get a handle on these theoretical monkeys, okay? With finances, this is somebody who may have been a little stressed out. I mean, except for my husband. He doesn't like retail therapy. It stressed him out this past weekend going to the mall with the kids because Build-A-Bear was crazy from what he told me. But this is somebody who's went and they've spent too much money. They could have bought an Xbox, video games, you name it. But they didn't pay their bills. And so now the bill collectors are calling. They're saying, hey, I'm going to repossess that car. I'm going to take that house. They're going to add additional fees. Then this poor person's thinking, geez, I shouldn't have squandered my money. So see what I'm getting at? That's what we're talking about. So we no longer have a balance when it's in reverse. So I'll go ahead and read over some of the descriptors I wrote down to be thorough. So we have too much going on, not having a balance, irresponsible spending, dealing with an unrealistic boss. So again, if you haven't seen The Devil Wears Prada, I would say watch it because it really paints this card up well. And I have had somebody in the past I worked with very similar to the devil in the movie. I was so happy to turn in my work phone when I was done with that job. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. When you get issued a work phone, when you're a manager, you're always accessible. I do not miss always being accessible. Oh my goodness. Unorganized. Okay, so when this figure's upright, they're maintaining a balance and having fun. Okay, when it's upside down, no, there's no fun being had. They're very frustrated and burnt out at this point. and just overextending. So with love, you only have so many hours in a day, and think of our energy like a gas tank. So if you're not taking care of yourself on a daily basis in some form or fashion, you have an empty cup. Or another way of looking at it would be a gas tank. You can't get anywhere else, and you have nothing left to give other people. So that's why you got to tend to yourself. With careers, it's being overworked, too many projects, finances, too many bills. So pretty much that sums up what I wanted to cover with this card. But I think it is overall a playful card, though. Again, though, I wish that something would have explained to me why that hat is so crazy. I don't know. So with this one, and I love the different depictions based on the artist and what they do. So we have this lady, and she's looking down, and the pentacle is like a yo-yo, and it's like she's really focused on it, and she's keeping that balance. But then you look off to the side, and it's like a shadow, okay? And it's like a part of her mind is actually on something else trying to maintain a balance. So instead of that infinity symbol, we see that split of the mind. And just, this is not necessarily a fun place to be necessarily. I mean, even though in this card, our juggler makes it look fun, with this, we just have that hyper focus, and notice the artist's use of the shading with the gray and black. Okay, we have some clarity. We have some light right here, but we have a lot of uncertainty. Almost that feeling of overwhelm creeping in, even though it's upright and a balance right now is being maintained. The mind is so preoccupied that this is an exhausting state to be in, you know? So if someone doesn't have a good balance, it's not going to take long before they go into that reversal energy, and they're hating life and hating everyone and needing to really charge up, right? Now, here's another one. And we see this young lady, and she's looking down. Okay, she's looking away from us. It looks like the wind is blowing a bit. Okay, the sky is fairly clear. And then as far as the ground goes, it's kind of hard to say. It's more so white. We don't have that green or anything like that going on. If anything, I'm looking to see if I can't even make out if this would be like water, you know. Let me hold it up closer. Just because it's so like grayish white, you would almost think snow, you know. But with the pentacles, it doesn't matter. We're dealing mostly with earth. So here's her pocketbook, which stands for 1 pentacle. But then notice here, it doesn't even look real. It's this thing that exists in her mind, where her mind is committing energy into this, even though her pocketbook is real, right? So whenever I've gotten this card, or I've gotten it for like other people when I do readings, and it has resonated with them when I say this, it's sometimes when we get so much in our head about all the various things we need to accomplish, sometimes we're worrying about things we don't really need to invest our time and energy in, okay? We're making problems that aren't there. So say we all have multiple demands on a daily basis, right? Maybe the thing that takes up this space doesn't have to be done that day, and it can wait. And so it's kind of like, if it helps, like write down what you want to accomplish, gain that structure and insight, because realize everything we think is not true. Just let that sink in for a minute. The brain is very highly complex. It determines if we have a positive outlook, we'll probably have a good day. If we have a negative outlook, we've already mentally determined we're going to have a bad day, right? Well, if we commit our time to thinking about this, how well do you think we're going to do at balancing our pocketbook? When we're dealing with this issue, we don't really need to balance with at that moment. So I think the way that Chris Ann, this is from the Light Seers Tarot deck, the way she drew her up really reminds me of the need to determine what's real and what's not, what really needs your attention at that moment and what can wait, and be okay with saying no and prioritizing, you know? Because especially with the wind blowing, it's kind of easy to almost feel swept up in just the chaos, right? Especially in rush hour traffic. Oh my gosh, I had to drive to work today for some training. It usually takes me 20 to 25 minutes to hop on 270 to get to the hospital. I'm not lying, guys. It took me just shy of an hour. Like 270 is no joke. Around 8 or 8:30 or even 9, I really dislike getting on 270. But I had my music going and my energy drink, so I made it a positive experience, right? So here we've got our little crow friend. And notice how we have this symbol that carries over. We've got the figure 8. We've got the pentacles. We have a balance that's being struck. But again, notice in both, okay, both cards. So we've got the infinity symbol, but the pentacles are being held at different levels. They're not at the same level. So it really dismisses one myth about multitasking. You physically and mentally cannot invest the same amount of energy in two endeavors at one time. There has to be a give and take there. So here, like even in a Rider-Waite-Smith card I showed you, the focus is on this one right now, right? It's higher up. But this one's still very much there in the background, but more so the focus is here. You're not going to see the infinity symbol with both equally held. That shows the give and take of this. And no, it's not easy. And I'm not trying to talk like I put my pants on any different than you do. It is a struggle. Adulting is such a trip, right? And it shows the wind. So we've got the wind in the background, right? And that could be its little crow friends that want to hang out with it. They're like, hey, let's go. Let's go somewhere cool and go like foraging for some food or something cool. And this guy's like, wait, I got to do this and this before we go, or it's going to totally bug me, right? But then what little adventure is it missing out on by not hanging out with its friends? What new lands? What new food is it missing out on because it's so busy? So that's why you got to really be selective about what you invest your time and energy and resources in. And you guys always know I finish up with a card not based on Rider-Waite-Smith to really illustrate why people, when they're learning, need a deck based on Rider-Waite-Smith, because it's just easier to learn, okay? So this is from the Hush Tarot, and I do love the art with this card because I love birds. I love a lot of animals, but I am impartial. I love birds. And here we see two little sparrows, and they look to be buddies, and this little guy is looking up at the guy, and he's holding a key. Okay, and so it looks like we've got some vegetation. There's some green growth, some kind of yellow tones in the background. So from what I can tell, one little bird has the key, right? So it's going to figure its way out of a situation. The other one's kind of watching the other one, trying to figure out, well, shoot, what should I do? It doesn't have a key. But you see what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to gain the same type of insight if you hold the two up. This is just a total deviation from the foundation, which is Rider-Waite-Smith, where there's a lot of artistic liberties. I don't see any commonality with this card, okay? So that's why you got to research your decks, get you the Rider-Waite-Smith to go with the non-conventional, or get you a book with the pictures from the Rider-Waite-Smith with the base meanings if you really love a non-conventional deck, and then put them together. That way you still learn it, you know? I'm not hating on art or anything. I just remember when I was starting to read tarot that I really loved the decks based on Rider-Waite-Smith. I picked it up quicker versus my non-conventional ones. I was just like thinking, what am I looking at? And sometimes I still wonder with the non-conventional ones, kind of like, why did they put it in with this card? But, you know, That's the thing with decks. You don't know unless you start to play with one. You'll figure out pretty quick if it resonates with you or not. But look at all the symbols that carry over, any color usage and themes. Again, it's really good when they just cross over like that, you know. And again, those pentacles are not at the same level, you know. This one. So, I think that sums us up tonight for the tarot teaching moment. And I've really enjoyed having you guys here. And if you did comment something, for some reason, I haven't seen it. So I will check for comments after the go live, because these go lives are weird. Sometimes I see comments and other times I don't. So I will be back tomorrow night and we'll go over the Three of Pentacles. And let's see here. Other than that, I've posted in the group. So I am reading at the VFW here in Arnold. From looking it up, it's for veterans from foreign wars. So these are people who fought in wars for our country. So I'm really looking forward to meeting them. Years ago, I worked at the VA, and honestly, I don't miss the system, but the thing I've always missed would be them. They taught me more than I ever learned out of a history book. So I love our veterans. I know I am one, and my husband's one, and I come from a family of them. But there's just something about talking to people who were in World War II, the Korean War. Those guys are rarities anymore. Vietnam era, you name it. It's their stories and experiences. And whenever I see a veteran, I do hold the door open for them. And I just simply say, thank you for your service. That's all you got to say. And, you know, and sometimes it's something, I've had some of them kind of like their eyes get all watery, and I'm like, oh, don't do that to me, because I wear my heart on my sleeves. You know, I'm a Pisces, I'm water based, you know, but I'm like, but I'm looking forward to seeing them, and doing the readings and selling my candles. So that should be fun on Sunday. And I think that wraps it up. So don't be a stranger. If you have questions or whatnot, reach out to me. And I hope you have a restful evening. And I'll see you later. Bye.